I have no children, no husband, no parents, and no job. And guess what? I don't actually care. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am Sierra Janae, and this is Light and Love Limitlessly. So in this video, I'm asking the question, is life worth living once you've lost it all? Small disclaimer, yes, I do have parents, but both of my parents have passed on. I was married. I'm now no longer married. I never had children, but I do have a fur baby. And I do not work, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So, sounding like I don't care or saying that I don't care might come across harshly or like that's insensitive. But let me tell you, my intention is not to be insensitive, it's to be informative. I ask that you stay until the end of the video and hear me out when I say the reasons I don't care about not having any of those things anymore. So let's get into it. So much has been stripped from my life, and that is not a lie. I have lost both parents. I have now gotten a divorce. I have not had children. I've never had children. I do have a fur baby who is my dog child, and that's what I refer to him as. And currently, I do not have a job. And actually, I don't plan on working ever again. So much has been stripped away from my life. I feel like a waxed leg. Everything was cleared away, but I am still here, but with a fresh outlook. So why don't I care about not having all of those things anymore? Don't get me wrong, I do cherish the memories of my parents and I miss them dearly in particular. Every day I wish that my parents were here physically with me, but that's just not the case. Yet with every loss that I've encountered, no matter how painful, came something to be gained, something profound to be gained. And as time goes on, I continue to discover that life is about so much more than what we have been taught that it entails. Think about it. We're supposed to be born into this nuclear family with a mother, a father, some siblings, perhaps a dog, or some sort of family pet. We're supposed to grow up and we're supposed to participate in sports or sort of different types of activities and grow up with nothing difficult. It's supposed to be this smooth sailing process from the time we're born to the time we get to high school, and then we have to graduate high school, and then once we graduate high school we have to go on into college, and we have to major in something important, and we have to be willing to contribute to society. Then once we graduate high school, we're supposed to be in these thriving professions, and we're supposed to be getting married soon after that. And then we're supposed to pop out children like we're a bunch of toasters popping out Pop-Tarts or something. We've been taught that our lives are supposed to look like this certain type of journey, this certain pathway. But the reality is, for the majority of us, our lives do not look like that. So what advice have we been given about when our lives don't follow that trajectory? When you find yourself in a situation like me where both of your parents have died, where someone that you loved has passed on, or where someone that you love has gotten sick and it has changed your lives permanently. So what happens when life does not unfold in a series of neat little steps to be checked off? Nobody really talks about that sort of trajectory, right? Nobody likes to talk about that sort of trajectory in life, but that's actually more common than a lot of us care to admit. So I say all of that to say my life in its non-traditional journey thus far has told me that life is more about maneuvering the unknown, the uncertainty, more than checking off all of those things that I mentioned earlier. It's about navigating the unexpected more than the traditional route we've been taught that life is supposed to look like. I also find that it's become more about being an intentional observer. So for me personally, it's been primarily about the wisdom, the reflections, the knowledge, the lessons, and the healing. It's been in those things that I've come to see and witness the beauty of uncertainty in life. It's been about observing the stops along the way, no matter how uncomfortable or challenging they may seem. having the courage to stop and reflect in those moments. So, what have I gained out of shifting my perspective on what I thought life once was supposed to be all about? I feel like I've gained faith more than anything. I've literally been forced to connect with faith, to connect with my angels and my spiritual team. And this is not just this momentary um, experience that I'm going through. This is a life altering experience that I will hold on to for the rest of my life. That's what I've been called to do at this point, because when you've lost so much, it's like you really don't have much else to have hope in, like we can say all day every day that life is always worth living, or there's always something to be happy about. And to some that may feel true, but when you've been through so much in life, sometimes those things don't seem as sunny anymore. When you've lost people that you cared about, when people that you loved betrayed you, when you've seen the worst of humanity, when you've witnessed, like me, being a caregiver to my mother, and actually seeing her die in front of my eyes and seeing her die in my home, in the home that we shared. You might think like, well, how can it get any worse, honestly. um, and so being put into those positions, I had nothing but the opportunity to look upward at this point, And the craziest thing is, I've always been this person who wanted and yearned for a spiritual connection. And in my 20s, that was something I was doing, before I met my ex, while I was navigating what was going on with my mother and my parents in particular, And it's so crazy how life works, because at this point, it's like I was called back home, literally. Like, I'm back home where I used to literally live. Like, literally, I'm in the same building and in the same apartment that I used to live in with family again. It was like I was put back into the starting position. I'm back at the moment I was at after my mom passed away. And this time around, I'm dealing with the death of my father, because my father passed away over the summer. So that's fairly new. And so I mentioned in one of my other videos that the day that I buried my father was the same day that I got divorced. And I honestly feel like that was God. That was the divine source, whoever or whatever you tend to call that entity or whatever, basically giving me a hard reset in my life. And I almost feel like my father plays a role in that some type of way, because I was not in a happy place before I came back here. I was looking at where I was at in life, and in some instances I was happy, like my career was moving forward, starting to move forward, but my marriage was not really what I wanted it to be at all. And it was like I was changing before my eyes. I was changing so rapidly and so quickly, And so I really feel like my father's death basically ended a whole chapter of my life, because I was holding on to those pieces of my past related to my parents and everything that happened with them. And I was using that kind of in a way to fuel me. And so it's like I got totally resetted. Like I, like for real. And literally reset it. Like I had to literally come back here and start fresh, start over completely. And this time with a stronger self awareness, a stronger identity, because I used to not know who I was. I used to feel like all of these things are the things that I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go to college. I'm supposed to get married and have children and stuff like that. But now I actually get to sit and think about if that's really what I want. And I actually have experienced some of those things and learned about myself from those experiences. So in hindsight, I don't care about those things anymore, because most of those things were taken away from me to gain something more. And that might sound a bit radical to some, but if you're like me and you are spiritually connected, then it probably makes sense to you. And I honestly just believe that those things were meant to happen so that I could become who I'm meant to be. Because it's all a part of my story. It's not my entire story. And back then, I was kind of using my past experience as my entire story, and it was overshadowing who I was, who I am. Out of this, I've gained this knowing that life does not have to look the way that society tells us it has to look in order to be meaningful. You have free will to choose whatever path you want to go on in the first place. I just would hope that you would choose the best path to be yourself and to exist authentically, because that's what life is about more than anything else. We're often told that we're not enough, or we're often ingrained with that mentality from a young age based on our experiences and things like that. But the true tea is that we've always been enough. From the very beginning, we're enough. So I mentioned also that I don't work either. And that's because after enduring everything and going through everything, my perspective of work has also shifted. I'm not the same person that I used to be, literally. And so that means that my perception of work has also changed. I'm someone that loves accolades. Like, I love a good award, honey. I do. But those things are not important to me anymore as much as they used to be, because they ultimately don't matter. What matters more is what you're actually doing in the world. Are you existing? Are you adding light to the world? Are you being a good person and of good moral character? That is more important than any certificate, any diploma, or whatever you can get. So the quote unquote work that I do now is completely different. My work is doing this. My work is talking to you all and connecting with you all, helping you learn, helping me learn, me sharing my experiences with you, because that's what I'm called to do. I do consider myself as a light worker. And so that means that my job on earth is to help you recognize the light in yourself. You help me connect with my purpose, and I help you in whatever way I can by you learning from me, listening to my story, whatever. That is why I'm here, and that's what I've been told that I'm here. Like I said, through this journey of like dropping everything and not caring anymore, like I've connected so much deeper within myself, with my higher self, and with my spiritual team. And I'm just going through this spiritual awakening that's been unfolding for years, if I really think about it that way. I just didn't know that, that was the case, but that is the case. And what I realized by stepping into this work is that a 9 to 5 could never, baby, it can never replace the work that you are really here to do and called to do. It's not going to fulfill you in the way that your actual real work will fulfill you. So if you're out there listening to this, I ask that you sit with what I've said so far. I ask you to sit and think about if there's things that you no longer care about, that no longer fit with who you are, your identity. And I gently nudge you to consider if there's another world somewhere out there where you can exist authentically by not giving a damn about things that you were conditioned to give a damn about. Now, again, this is not saying that I don't care about my parents. Of course I care about my parents, I'm just saying that them not being here, me not being married anymore, I don't have to carry that 100% like a heavy load for the rest of my life. I can still go out and I can still enjoy my life and I can still be light. So that is what I'm saying. So hopefully this was helpful to you in some type of way, and if so, give it a thumbs up. Thank you for staying to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I ask that you subscribe and share this with somebody that it may resonate with. And please, please, please comment your experiences, stories in the comment section below. I will read them and I will respond to them. Also, I do have a goal of reaching at least 1,000 subscribers by January 23rd, which is my birthday. So if you can, please support me in that way. I would love that. It would be a great gift to me, and I really just want to reach the people that my content will resonate with most. People that have lost both parents or even one, people who have been divorced, who are actually in this stage of relearning who they are, and who may need help to get past some of those complicated relationships from the past. So thank you so much. Until next time, bye.